Hello there, I'm Katie Azevedo of SchoolHabits University, and today I'm going to show you why school feels harder than it should and exactly how to fix it. If you're watching this, you're likely a student who's been feeling overwhelmed, like school is harder than it needs to be or harder than it used to be. Maybe you're looking for a new, easier way to do things. If any of that rings true, you are in the right place. Whether you're in high school, college, grad school, or even an adult learner going back to school, what I'm sharing with you today is exactly what you need to hear and understand in order for anything to change. Which, let's face it, you are looking for a change, a new way to do school. Because I know you're putting in the time. I know you're doing your best to care, to stay on top of things. Maybe even working harder than most people around you. You might even want it more than most people around you, but for some reason, you're seeing no return on your investment. In other words, your grades aren't reflecting the effort that you're putting in. Or maybe you're doing okay on paper, but everything feels chaotic, last minute, and exhausting, like you're missing something that everyone else seems to get. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you're wondering, shouldn't I have figured this out by now? And I get it. I have worked with thousands of smart, motivated students who felt the exact same way. And here is what I can tell you. It is not that you're lazy. And it's definitely not that you're not smart enough. The truth is that most students have never been taught how to do school. You are expected to manage your time, to study effectively, whatever that even means. Organize your work, annotate for all of the right things, take notes while also listening to the professor, all while handling a boatload of classes and life without ever being shown how to do any of it. You're handed subjects like math and English and bio, but never taught how to learn them. You're given assignments, but you're never taught how to manage them. You're told to study, but never taught how to go from memorization to actual knowledge acquisition, which, by the way, is a very real thing that requires a specific set of strategies that work so much better than anything you have been taught up to this point. And without these skills, everything else feels harder, no matter how smart or motivated you are. And it doesn't take magic to fix any of this. It doesn't take magic to get what you want. It takes skill, the kind you can learn, and that is what we're going to fix today. So today I'm going to walk you through the 3 most common mistakes that smart students make that quietly wreck their performance, energy, and confidence. And if you've been working hard and still not getting the results you want, I can almost guarantee that one or all of these are in your way. And remember, it is not your fault. These are mistakes or beliefs that are essentially disguised as truths, but they are not. Believe me when I tell you they are not. So let me show you what they are and then what changes when you finally see the truth. Now, the first mistake that I can guarantee you're making, again, this is not your fault, is believing that studying more and harder is the way to better grades, but nothing could be further from the truth. There is a very specific way to get information that is outside of our brains, like from a textbook or a lecture class, into our brains, also called learning, that has to happen a certain way, no matter how we feel about it or what we want to believe. Learning is actually a neurological process that can't be rushed just because the test is tomorrow. And it can't be forced just because we are rereading our notes for the 9th time. If you're not using real study methods that work on a neurological level, you're not studying. So doing more of whatever that is just going to waste your time and leave you staring at your test, wondering why you don't remember anything when you swore you knew it all just the night before. And I'll bet you know the scenario where you spent hours, reading your notes or maybe rewatching a lecture video, and you're doing everything that feels like studying. But when you come back to the material the very next day, you've forgotten it all, and you're wondering, what the heck just happened? Didn't I just know this yesterday? What is wrong with me? And the test is later that day, and you're feeling defeated, and you have no more time, and you're up against a wall. Well, what if I told you that that is literally supposed to happen? That when we learn things, we are supposed to forget them the next day. That's just step 1 in the process. That neurological learning process I mentioned earlier, there are multiple steps to that. And you have to get to the next step. But that's where most students fall short. They just do more of step 1. And then when it doesn't work, they think something's wrong with them. But doing more of the wrong thing doesn't work. Let me try to explain it this way. Imagine I told you to build a house. And I just kind of expected you to know how to do that. I didn't give you a blueprint or instructions, but I gave you a bunch of wood and maybe some nails and a hammer, and I said, hey, go build this house. All right, so you start banging random nails into random pieces of wood, and after a little bit, you realize that you're surrounded by nothing that resembles a house. But you just hammer the nails in more and harder. And after doing this week after week, month after month, sometimes even year after year, you start thinking, this is bananas. I stink at making houses. This is impossible. But that's what's happening at school. You're told to study, but you're not taught how. You're told to manage your time, but you're not taught what that really means. Like, that is so abstract. You're kind of just banging random nails into random boards, wondering why nothing is working. But if you have the blueprint and step-by-step instructions for how to build a house, you'll be able to do it just fine, without any drama. And that's what I teach inside SchoolHabits University. It is literally the blueprint for learning. So when you're told to build a house, you're like, let's go. All the tools, all the rules, and every study strategy you could possibly need. Again, it's not you. Hear me on that. It's what you haven't been taught yet. Now let me tell you about one of my students. I'm going to call her Morgan. That's not really her name, but privacy. In high school, Morgan did very well. She was in the top third of her class. She had ADHD, but it was super well managed. And then she got to college and everything fell apart. Her grades crashed. She felt completely overwhelmed. She told me that she almost didn't go back to campus after winter break. And when we started working together inside SchoolHabits University, it became instantly clear. Morgan had never been taught how to study, like many people. She was used to getting pre-made study guides from teachers, using pre-made flashcards, again from teachers, relying on lecture slides for her notes, and none of it prepared her for the independence that college demands. Those shortcuts, those scaffolds as we call them in education, quietly erased the very skills she needed most. Study skills, note-taking, time management, all the systems that let you get good grades without spending all your time in the library. No one wants that. And her confidence took a hit right along with her GPA. But here is what changed everything. Morgan learned how to study for real. No hacks, no gimmicks. She built systems for managing her time and her tasks. She started taking effective notes and annotating in a way that made studying easier and take way less time. Like, these things all work together. That's so important for you to understand. And at first she was skeptical, but when the grades started improving, when the all-nighters stopped, and when she realized she actually knew the material at a test, right, the next day, something clicked. She went from, this is way too hard and I just can't, to wait, this makes sense. How I take notes affects how I study, and how I track my time affects how quickly I can get my work done, and how I organize my materials affects my study sessions. And like, whoa, this whole ecosystem thing practically puts good grades on my lap. And you know what Morgan told me just a few weeks into the program? She said, Katie, I wish so bad that I had learned this sooner. Now let's move on to the second common mistake or belief that's standing between you and the school experience that you deserve to have. And that is that motivation is required. And I hear this all of the time from my students. They tell me, I know what I need to do, but I'm just not motivated. Or I know everything would be easier if I could just get myself to do it. There is this wild talk out there about the power of motivation. And it's the motivated students who become the academic weapons, but that is not true at all. Attempting to increase motivation or treat a low motivation problem is to ignore what's really going on. Low motivation is not the cause of low grades and academic stress. It is a symptom of something else. We don't want to treat symptoms. We want to treat the cause of those symptoms, right? And what is the cause of those symptoms? Not knowing how to do school. A skill deficit. Not knowing how to annotate, not knowing how to take notes, not knowing how to get and stay organized or plan out study sessions that are the right timing apart, not knowing how to study. And think about this for a sec. What do you think happens to motivation when you do everything you think you're supposed to do and it doesn't work? And then you do that time and time and time again. Of course your motivation tanks. You vaguely know that you're supposed to manage your time better and not procrastinate, but has anybody actually taught you what that means and how to do it? Has anybody sat you down and said, this is task management, and this is time management, and this is how they work together? And this is how having a good note-taking strategy in class leads to notes that are easy to turn into study materials that you can use with these legitimate study methods. And because you have a good time management system that works and you understand how studying works, you can map out study sessions using your amazing notes and your class materials that are on point, and everything works together in perfect sync. Has anybody ever taught you that? Of course not. I've been teaching for 20 years in both public and private schools, and I know for sure this information is not taught. And then what's happening is your motivation tanks because you're just so done. You're so done of not seeing results or even bad results and working so hard for those bad results. So no, blaming low motivation or trying to find ways to grit your teeth and rally when every part of you is screaming no is not what we do. That doesn't work and it's not sustainable. What works is treating the skill deficit. Learn the systems, learn how they work together. Let me give you another way to think about it. It's a little weird, but follow me here. Let's say that you had a terrible headache and you had it for months, if not years. And I get it that you would try Tylenol and maybe an ice pack or, staying more hydrated. But at what point are you going to ask yourself, what's causing my headache? And instead of trying all the hacks and home remedies and things that don't work, trying to treat the symptom and the pain, just treat what's causing your headache and the pain goes away. Learn how to do school and the school pain goes away. That's what I teach in SchoolHabits University, how to treat what's really going on behind the scenes so that your academic pain goes away. All right, let's move on to the third critical understanding you need to have in order to become that academic weapon you know you can be and you deserve to be, let's be real. We're going to talk about learning styles for a minute. Hold your hats. All right, students tell me all the time that the reason they're having a hard time in a lecture class is because they're a visual learner. Or maybe they don't do well in a certain kind of class because they are an auditory learner. Okay, or classes are hard because they are a kinesthetic learner and they're hands-on and the class isn't designed that way, whatever. Or maybe the reason you think school is hard is because teachers don't teach to your particular learning style. And if only they could do that, then everything would be easier. And I absolutely understand why you would think that. If you're one kind of learner and the teacher or professor is delivering the content in another style, it makes sense that you'd struggle to understand the material and you'd have a hard time on tests and all the things, right? But, and this is going to blow your mind, there's absolutely no concrete evidence whatsoever that learning styles exist. None. That is fact. And I know this learning styles myth just, it won't quit. It won't die. And believing in it and believing that it's the reason for everything feeling harder than it needs to be is actually prevent you from doing what actually works. Now, I'm not saying that learning disabilities don't exist. Of course they do. So that's not what I'm talking about here. And some of you might have learning preferences for sure. Like you like things a certain way. Oh, fine. But there's no such thing as learning styles. So what does this mean? What do we do instead? How do we do better in a lecture class, for example, when we've sworn all along that we're visual learners? Or how do we do better in an ELA class when we've always believed that we're an auditory learner? Well, we learn how to learn, no matter the content, no matter the teacher, no matter the delivery or the environment. Yes, there is a way. It is not even that complicated. A way to take information that is thrown at you, no matter how it is delivered, and turn it into a format that works for you. Because that's the secret right there. The academic weapons don't pay attention to the format of a course or how it's delivered because they know how to take notes on it in a way that suits their brains. They take that material and they turn it into study resources that fit their preferences. And they're using legitimate study strategies that do not depend on what kind of learner they think they are, because it doesn't matter. Now, one quirky, I like quirky, but helpful way to think about this is if you were going on an epic hiking expedition, okay, through totally new terrain. And one way to go about this trip would be to hire a guide, someone who could essentially take you by the hand up over the mountain, leading you while you passively follow. But what happens if the guide doesn't show up or gets injured or is really bad at their job and leads you up the wrong way? Where do you end up? Or let's say that you do end up over the mountain. Well, what happens when you face the next mountain? You have to hire another guide and do the same darn song and dance all over again, leaving your entire experience and potential success or failure up to one person? Nah. Or you get yourself a map, a compass. You can learn how to use them and read them and follow trail markers yourself. And if you do that, it doesn't matter if there is a guide that you like, or a detour, or uncomfortable external conditions, or another mountain after the first one, which there will be. Okay, because you know what you're doing and you can handle it. And that means freedom, and you are no longer at the mercy of the terrain or of the teacher. So that's the skill, the magic that top students have to be able to take material from a lecture, from a video, from slides, from a textbook, from whatever, and learn it using legitimate study methods that work, regardless of the external conditions. And when you can do this, which I teach you inside SchoolHabits University, you unlock that next level. Heck, you unlock any level you want. Now, in college, in grad school, in your career, literally forever, which, by the way, is why you get lifetime access to the entire program the minute you enroll. Now, let me tell you about another student, Daniel, also not his real name, but privacy. He was a junior in college at a competitive university, and he wasn't failing, okay? But he was working way too hard just to do okay. So when he joined SchoolHabits University, we looked at how he was studying, and like so many students, he was doing what felt like and looked like studying, but it wasn't effective. It wasn't working because things that are not studying don't work, right? He made just a few small changes to his study methods, and within weeks, 180. He's getting better grades, spending less time in the library. He told me these were the easiest semesters I have ever had with the best results I have ever gotten. So let's flip the script. What does school look like when you know what you're doing? I want you to imagine this. You start your week knowing exactly what you're working on each day so that you complete your assignments in a non-chaotic, stressed out, panicked way for once. You have a test in a week. It's a huge test, but you're not stressed because you actually kind of know the material already. Why? Well, because you've been taking notes on it. Taking notes that work and that are super organized and easy to turn into simple study resources that don't trick you into thinking you know your stuff. And your study sessions are short and sweet because you're using real study methods that use active recall. And when the test comes, you're fine. No drama, no chaos, and it's all the stuff that you studied because you knew what you were doing. This is what happens when all of the parts of school start working together. It's not just time management. It's not just studying. It's everything. It's task management, planning, organization, taking notes, annotating systems, all of it working in sync. And that is what makes school manageable. That is what creates momentum. And that's what creates academic weapons. Am I overusing that word? I think so. So what I just described, it's so doable. It's not some outrageous fantasy that requires you to spend hours in the library every day and do nothing but school. It is so darn doable, and it's so close. I've been teaching and coaching students for 20 years, high school, college, grad school, and I have worked with thousands of smart people who are putting in the effort but not getting the grades they wanted and were wondering what the heck they were doing wrong. I also have a master's degree in special education, and I specialize in ADHD and executive functions. So I understand how the brain works when it is overwhelmed and distracted, overloaded. And so the systems that I teach inside SchoolHabits University are backed not only by cognitive science, but by 20 years of experience in this exact area. And to be transparent, I didn't struggle in school. I actually graduated summa cum laude with the highest honors. But here's the thing, I didn't realize how powerful my systems were. I didn't even know they were systems until I started watching other smart students fall apart without them. I was like, wait, doesn't everyone know this stuff? Joke's on me. Turns out that hardly anyone does. But I do, and I want to teach it to you. So that's what led me to create SchoolHabits University, to teach the skills that no one else teaches, but that you are expected to know. This is not just a course on how to study better or manage your time. It is a full system, online, self-paced, everything you need to actually do school in a way that makes sense and gets you to the next level that you want to reach. There are 6 main modules to the primary course, and they all work together. Task management, time management, note-taking, annotating, study skills, and organization, and that includes email. And the cool part is once those 6 key pieces are locked in, they're all video lessons, so it's very easy to do, school starts to feel way less chaotic. I designed SchoolHabits University to be super practical, short video lessons, tons of plug-and-play templates and guides, and a whole bunch of bonuses to make your success in the program all but guaranteed. In addition to the 6 core modules, enrollment includes 6 bonuses: an ADHD action map to help get you through the program successfully if you have ADHD, the ultimate anti-procrastination guide, which helps you understand and overcome every kind of procrastination because there's different kinds, a student resume builder and templates pack to help you build and design a competitive resume, and a full brain dump to action mini course that turns anxiety into action. And you also get this. This is the best part: 12 months of Q&A opportunities with me. So if you're stuck, overwhelmed, or you just want help applying what you're learning, I've got you. Unlimited questions, all answered and uploaded into an ever-expanding Q&A video library, which is also yours for a lifetime. The whole program, including the live coaching, all the templates, lifetime access, can be yours right now for less than what you'd spend on a few hours with a tutor to prepare for a single test. Actually, think about this. Just a few tutoring sessions at $200 an hour for just one subject could run you $800. But this, School Habits University, gives you a full academic system for every subject, every semester, forever. And the average post-secondary student spends up to $1,471 on textbooks that they never use again, but for way less than that. School Habits University, with lifetime access to the course and all future updates, comes alive again every single time you move up through your academics and through your career. And then think about the opposite. What if you do nothing? That's where the real cost is. Because if you keep doing nothing, nothing changes. School isn't going to get easier. And if you could have figured this out on your own, you would have done that by now. The cost of doing nothing is potentially tens of thousands of dollars in retaking courses, extra semesters, and missed opportunities that go to people who have these skills. You know you've got to try something different, something new. And this is what works. If you want that system, if you want school to finally feel good, dare I say good, without all the drama, the extra work, and the constant stress of why is this so hard? If you want to become that academic weapon, you know you are. School Habits University is ready for you right now. You know, recently a student told me, I have learned more from this than I have ever learned in school. And if that doesn't sum it up, I don't know what does. Now, I know that was a lot, and I totally understand if you have questions, and I'm going to run through a few common questions about the program right now, but I do cover a ton more on the enrollment page. There's a lot more information there than I cover in this video. But let's start with this one. How long will it take me to finish the course? So a lot of people ask this, and you have lifetime access, so there is no pressure. And you also get a full year of Q&A access to me, so again, there's no pressure. But if you want structure, I include 30, 60, and 90-day roadmaps to guide you through the program at those different sort of rates. And the cool part, you come back to this course again and again as school and life evolve. Another question I'm asked a lot is, how can I make time for this when I'm already drowning in school? Like, I don't even have time for school. Great question, and honestly, that's exactly why you need this. You're overwhelmed because you don't yet have the systems in place. School Habit saves you hours every week by teaching you how to study smarter, plan better, stop procrastinating. And trust me, many students have wondered the exact same thing. And after diving into just a few lessons, they're like, oh, I get it now. All right, next question. Is this just for students with ADHD or learning challenges? No, not at all. While I do specialize in ADHD and executive functions, and every module inside School Habits University has an ADHD specific lesson in it, School Habits University helps any student who wants to level up. In fact, many of my students are top performers who want more structure, more confidence, and a real edge for their next phase of school or even their career. Next question. How do I know this will actually work? Well, you've probably tried tips and hacks before, and that is not what this is. School Habits University is a full academic system tested with thousands of students. And you're not going to learn just what to do. You're going to get the structure to actually do it with accountability. So are you ready? A more peaceful and effective school experience and far better grades with way less effort are much closer than you think. If you're ready, the button is right there. And I can't wait to see you inside.